Hi, Tara Salee, registered dietitian with HyVee, here to talk to you today about cook once, eat twice meals. So we're well into the new year now, and hopefully many of you are sticking to some of those healthy resolutions you may have made. As the new is kind of wearing off, I wanted to give you some fresh ideas on ways to make healthy meals very simple. I know how busy most of your lives are, how the busier lives typically get, then that's when the food side of things falls off a little bit. It's harder to carve out that time to create healthy meals, to have the time to prepare a healthy meal. So hopefully today we'll give you a few ideas on how to do just that. How to carve out time to make one meal and then recycle that meal and make another healthy lunch or another healthy dinner. So the options we're going to be going through today and the recipes I'm going to be showing you, I've used a couple different ways. One is you can make these recipes and recycle them into dinner the next night. The other is you can recycle them into lunch prep for the next couple days. So either way, it's going to cut down on your work and you're going to have more healthy meals as a result. As we're going through some of these options, I'd really like for you to think about some of your go-to recipes and how you could potentially turn those into cook once, eat twice. The easiest way to think about doing this would be to up that protein. So whatever the protein source is in your recipe, up that a little bit. Maybe make a few more chicken breasts or more turkey or more lean ground beef, and then recycle that into something else. An easy way to start doing that would be if you have, let's say, some grilled chicken and a side of broccoli and a sweet potato for dinner, make extra chicken, recycle that the next day and make a chicken wrap or a chicken salad. Those are a couple easy ways to get started. Wraps and salads are great ways to recycle leftover protein from your meal. So the first recipe we're going to be making today is Southwest crock pot chicken. Now this is one that I make quite a bit because it is just so very simple, and a lot of these items are things you can just have on hand. They're non-perishable, so you can pull them out as you need them. So what you're going to need for this recipe is very simple. The essentials is a packet of taco seasoning. I like to use this Mama Socorro's Mild. It is a low sodium, it's also gluten-free, there's no MSG in it. Has really good flavor. Some frozen chicken breast. This can be straight out of the freezer. I got this out a few minutes ago, so it's starting to thaw just a little bit, but typically when I make this, I open the freezer and put it straight in there. This is no salt black beans, a can of Rotel, and some frozen corn. That is what you have to make the crock pot chicken. And then we'll talk about some of these sides to kind of turn them into a couple different meals. So the first thing you want to do here is start with your slow cooker. I'm going to spray the inside of that, and then in goes our chicken. All right. Next, we will add the black beans. Again, so simple because we're just dumping everything in here. We will add the can of Rotel. I've also used petite diced tomatoes instead of Rotel. And you can get those completely salt-free if you prefer that. We need our corn. I got this firecracker corn. It's like a steamer bag. I thought it looked good. There's the fire roasted corn, green and red bell peppers, and some onion. So again, just a few more veggies, but you could use a can of corn, or you could even use really whatever. All right. So there we go with our corn. Next, we need to add our taco seasoning. Okay, that's it. We just made it. That is how simple it is. You put the lid on. So when I am at home and maybe like it's a midday plan, I decided to make this, I'll usually turn it up to high for 2 hours and then turn it down to low for another 2 to 3. But if I'm going to work in the morning, I will dump all this in first thing, I'll turn it on low, and I will just leave it to hang out all day. Once it is done, so we're gonna fast forward a little bit here. All you do once this is done is take 2 forks and you're basically going to shred the chicken in the crock pot. It will just flake right apart. It is so simple. From there, this is when you're gonna basically divide the mixture you've made and make 2 different meals out of it. So what I normally do is I turn night 1 of this dish into either a chicken burrito or a chicken quesadilla. So that's when you would want to get some whole wheat wraps. I like to use these Mission carb balance wraps. What I'd like you to do though when you're picking out a wrap is look for a couple things. First off, you want to flip it over and check out that nutrition facts panel. This is going to be like the answer key to your food. This is what you want to look for to figure out if it's going to be a healthy choice for you. So scan down to the very bottom under that ingredient list. That very first ingredient should be the word whole wheat or whole something. So this is a whole wheat wrap. That's the first ingredient, so that means that it is less processed. What you want to be aware of is when it says refined or, well, typically refined or enriched are going to be those words that should be a red flag word that maybe you could find something a little healthier. Step 2, whenever we have a grain or a carbohydrate, is I want you to look on the nutrition facts panel under total carbohydrates, okay? Right beneath that, you're going to see fiber and you're going to see sugar. This is where I want you to kind of focus in on, because it's going to tell you what type of carbohydrate you're eating. Is this carb healthy or is it not? So go with the 5x5 rule. We'd like there to be 5 or more grams of fiber and 5 or less grams of sugar. So I know that this is very small, so I'm going to read this to you. So here we have dietary fiber in this wrap is 15 grams. So that is well over that 5. So we're doing good there. And then total sugar here is 0. So that is well under that 5. So this is going to be a healthy choice for a carbohydrate. The reason why we're looking for that fiber is it's really going to help fill you up, which is important at a meal to feel full and satiated. So you'll divide out this chicken mixture. You'll take half of it out and you'll leave half of it in there. The half you take out, you can fill these wraps to make your chicken burrito or quesadilla. And then top them with things of your choice. So you could do like a 2% cheese on top. Remember, you want to try and find that 2% to cut that saturated fat just a little bit and make it more heart healthy. You could do some cilantro, even some fresh avocado. I've also used some rice cauliflower as a side with this before that I was able to just pop, like a steamer bag that you could just pop in the microwave and have rice cauliflower on the side. So there we have night 1. So then to turn this in, to recycle this meal and have it differently the next day, all you need is some chicken broth. Because what you're going to do is turn this into chicken tortilla soup. So in that very same crock pot where half of your mixture is left, you're going to use 2 cans of chicken broth, or about close to about 4 cups. Well, yeah, about 3 to 4 cups. You're just gonna pour it straight in and give it a stir, okay? Once you have that well mixed, that's your second dinner. So you've just made 2 dinners, just like that. You can just take out the top of this and put it in your refrigerator, pop it back in the next day so your soup has a chance to kind of warm up throughout the day. The other thing I'll sometimes do is I'll go ahead and divide that into my lunch containers, so then I have soup to eat for the next few days for lunches. Same thing, try to figure out what could you put on that soup as a topper to get more color in. Maybe some cilantro again, that same 2% cheese, maybe even some sliced avocado on the top of your chicken tortilla soup. Super simple, and you have 2 recipes made out of that one. Okay, so now we're gonna switch gears here. And we are going to make a feta, black bean, and corn burger. So this is actually a meatless meal. The American Heart Association recommends having 1 meatless meal every week. Eating more plant-based, again, is a great way to lower your cholesterol and protect your heart. It also kind of aligns more with that Mediterranean diet, which is full of those whole grains, heart-healthy fats, and lots of color, lots of fruits and vegetables. So what we're gonna make now kind of just goes right along with that. So I'm gonna start by turning on my pan over here. The first thing that you'll need to kind of pick up for this recipe for night 1 is you're going to need this 7-grain blend here. This is something you'll find in the health market. It's like it has all kinds of great whole grains in there. Again, if you looked at the back under that ingredient list like we just talked about, the first ingredients here are brown rice, organic wheat, organic barley, flaxseed, millet, there's all kinds of grains in here. So it's really high in fiber and very filling. You're going to need a freezer pack of Southwest Chipotle and corn and black beans. And I love this one. This is a relatively new product, but it's a Mrs. Dash product. So a lot of those frozen items that have sauces with them or seasonings are really high in salt. This is not, because they've used a Mrs. Dash seasoning on that. So this is fantastic. So we'll need that. You'll need an egg, some cumin, whole wheat breadcrumbs, Dijon mustard, Worcestershire, onion, garlic, and feta cheese. And that is going to be what we're going to use to make these black bean burgers. So to start with, we need to actually saute our corn, our onion, and our garlic here. So I'm going to go ahead and add this over here to my pan. If you like other veggies, you can absolutely add those as well. The other thing about this recipe in particular are once you cook these burgers, they actually do really well to freeze. So we're gonna add 2 packs of this. That goes right into this pan. We're gonna give this a stir. So our protein source with these black bean burgers is the black beans, and then there's also quinoa in this grain blend. That quinoa, while it's not high in protein, it is a complete protein, meaning it contains all of the amino acids to make a complete, for your body to make a complete protein. Okay, so while that is cooking down a little bit, we are going to work on the rest of the burger. So what we need for this is we need to add half of our package of feta cheese. So I'm just gonna go ahead and sprinkle that in. I'm just kind of eyeballing this here. I actually got I picked it up by accident actually. You can buy the reduced fat feta, which you might wanna do similar to our cheese over here. Cutting that fat is just gonna cut that saturated fat. I did not grab that today though. We're going to use the whole wheat panko breadcrumbs. We need half a cup of these. I've already microwaved this. This is like a 10 or 2 inches microwave for 90-second type of pack. We need to add half of it to this, and we need to keep the other half out. We're gonna add that later. We need a tablespoon of cumin. Worcestershire here. We will use some of the Dijon mustard, tablespoon of that. We need an egg. Then a crack of pepper. You could also add a little bit of red pepper flake if you wanted a bit more flavor and spice. I am not going to do that though. All right, so then we're gonna let this cook just a little bit so the onions kind of are softened and turn a little bit translucent. Getting close here. All right, so from here, what you're going to do is we will basically be adding half of our corn mixture right into our food processor. We'll put the lid on, pulse this a few times, and then we will add it to this bowl, okay? Then we'll take the other half of our grain mixture and add it. This is just so that our black bean burger has a little bit different consistency in it, okay? This is kind of like the binder that's gonna keep it all together, and then this is gonna give it a little bit of texture. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull some of this over here. Get a spoon. Okay. I'm just gonna eyeball about half of this here. There we go. And then we will give this a quick pulse. All right, so you can see the consistency now. It is pretty uniform, and this is how we want it. So from there, we're going to add this right into our bowl. The great thing about doing a plant-based meal from time to time is not only is it good for your heart and a heart healthy choice, it's also good for your budget. Typically protein is the very most expensive part of our food budget. Especially right now, you know, food is a bit more expensive. So when you're eating plant-based a time or two a week, that can really help, and you can kind of put those funds toward more of that color, getting more fresh fruits and veggies on your plate when they're not in season. All right, so here we have, move that. We're gonna give this a stir. I'm gonna add the rest of our corn and bean mixture here. All right. Now we're not done with this pan, so you want to try and get everything out of there, because the next thing we're going to do is, after this is stirred together very well, we need to patty these burgers. This should make 6 to 8 burgers, okay? And then from there, we're going to cook those in that same pan. So you're just going to give that a spray, maybe use just a little bit of canola oil in the very bottom of the pan, and then cook them in 2 batches, like 3 to 4 at a time. About 4 minutes, flip them another 4 minutes, and they'll be ready to go. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and then we'll make our dinner one and then recycle it into something else. All right, so I finished cooking the corn, feta, and black bean burgers here. And so now what we're doing for night 1, our first meal, is making just a hamburger. So here we go with our bun here. We're gonna put the burger right on top. So what I did for a bun is I got just the whole wheat like bakery buns, cut that in half, and then put a little fresh arugula. You always wanna try and add color as much as possible. So I put it on a little bed of arugula there. And then for the sauce for the top, you're gonna use some mayo, which I got the avocado oil mayo here. So this is, again, just subbing out what would normally be a saturated or less healthy fat with a monounsaturated heart healthy fat. We're going to add just a touch of cumin to this, and give that a little stir. This is something you can put right on the top. Remember, with any condiment, a little goes a long way. So think about like the size of the surface area of your thumb, and that would be kind of a good starting point for what a portion should be for those condiments. And then you could even top it with a little avocado. And there we have dinner. So to turn this into a second meal, cook once, eat twice, then what you're gonna do is think, okay, well, I have some extra burgers here, so I'm gonna turn this into lunch prep. So to do that, you're gonna take the same arugula, and this is what I like to use as my base. Now, you don't have to do it, because I don't mind kind of like soft, wilted lettuce. If you're someone who doesn't care for that, then I would probably say go ahead and put the lettuce on the very top instead. I'm gonna do it on the bottom though. So here we have like lunch containers for the next day, essentially. So we have some lettuce. From there, I steam some of this long grain rice. You can use a wild rice, you can use a brown rice, really whatever you want here. so into those, I'm going to do a little bit of rice. I'm just gonna pour a little right over the top here. Actually it needs to kind of fluff in there a little bit. There we go. If you're gonna measure this, I think I got a little heavy on this one. If you're gonna measure this out, 1 serving of rice is only 1/3 of a cup, which isn't a lot. So when you're talking about like carbohydrate choices per meal, for this meal, because we have other sources of carbohydrate coming from our bean and our corn and some of the grains, I think 1/3 of a cup would be enough. If you wanted a larger portion, again, you could switch over to that riced cauliflower. Okay, so there we have the start of that. Now you have to kind of prepare the sauce or the sauce to go on top, and then we also have to get our black bean burger ready to go. So you're gonna need some honey, some Worcestershire, you're gonna need that garlic again. So first thing you wanna do is we're gonna go ahead and get our skillet going again with just a little bit of canola or olive oil. Add just a touch of garlic. And then I went ahead and cut this. This is an Anaheim pepper, so you just want something with a little bit of heat. You can use a Fresno pepper, an Anaheim, something that just gives a little bit of flavor to the dish. And I'm gonna let that cook in here as well. All right, so while that's cooking, we're gonna get the sauce ready. So you're gonna need some honey and some Worcestershire for that. I went ahead and added the honey to the bowl, and now we just need to mix it with 2 tablespoons of this. I'm eyeballing it here. And we will give that a little mix. So this is going to be the sauce that we'll put over the top. You could certainly cut down on that honey if you wanted to. Okay. All right, so to this over here, you're gonna want to keep giving this a bit of a stir. And then I've already added one of these burgers. I'm gonna go ahead and add one more just to the pan. And I'm gonna break it up a little bit. And let that basically warm through. What we're essentially making for this dish here is a Thai basil black bean bowl. So it's kind of like a grain bowl. Again, we're using this black bean and grain mixture as our protein source of this meal. So this would be a second meatless meal for the week, okay? I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this. And then as that water starts to kind of boil out and everything gets soft, it's kind of steaming those vegetables right now. As that kind of boils out, what you're going to do is add just a touch of this for flavor right to the pan. And then we're going to use the rest to drizzle over the top here, okay? All right. So I'm going to go ahead and I will get some of this out of here for us. Okay. It's hard to get out of here. All right. So there we go. We have our black bean burger, we have the rice, we do a drizzle of this honey dressing on the top, and then you have your meal prep done that you can take out the door with you the next day. These would be good in your refrigerator because there's no meat source for a couple of days. Again, if you're wanting to use it for several days in advance, I would probably put the rice, the black beans, or the black bean burger on it, and then right before you head out of the house, maybe put the lettuce on the very top. But there you have it. Cook once, eat twice. You have several options. I hope some of these would work well for you and your family, and it'll give you some new ideas on how to eat healthy, stick to your goals. As always, thank you for tuning in and joining me for these. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and have a happy and healthy day.